Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode on the HighLevel Experience podcast, where we dive into the strategies and tools that are driving success for agencies and SaaSpreneurs worldwide. Today, we have a truly special guest joining us, someone who's been at the forefront of technology and business innovation for over 30 years. He's a leader who not only drives results, but does so with a remarkable focus on building consensus and fostering a team environment. He is known in the industry as the ADA Comply Guy, a title well earned through his mission to make the internet accessible to people of all abilities. He is an accomplished IT leader, seasoned sales engineer, and the founder of adacomplyguy.com, where he helps businesses not only meet ADA compliance, but also leverage it as a powerful tool for growth and customer acquisition. His expertise lies in guiding businesses through the complexities of ADA digital compliance. And today, he'll be sharing insights on how adhering to these regulations can actually serve as a strategic advantage, opening up new markets and unlocking government funding, believe it or not. So please join me in welcoming the inspiring and innovative Tony Caggiano to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome to the show, Tony.
Great to be here.
To have you, man. It's an honor to have you here. How are you today?
Doing very, very well. Thank you.
Tony, look, you spent over 30 years in the IT and technology space, constantly, finding new ways to use technology and to help others. What inspired you to focus on ADA compliance? Like, it can be seen as a bit of a boring topic for some. What inspired you in making the internet accessible for all, and how has this mission shaped your approach to business?
Actually, the two have been kind of side by side for most of my career. When I was younger and in Boy Scouts, I was a teenager, started working with a troop of disabled scouts. And from there, it just was something that I was drawn to do. And throughout owning my own IT company through many years. And then, when I was working for corporate America, just volunteering with Special Olympics, with the United Way, just giving back to people and those who were less fortunate or needed a little extra help, and working with people with disabilities just really gave me, a purpose of what I was doing to give back to others. So fast forward, back in 2019, I was working for corporate America and being very entrepreneurial. I never just like to not do something on my own. So I had started building a fundraising app for our local schools here in North Carolina. And when COVID hit, we kind of had to shelf that program because schools were being closed down and, businesses weren't, open for us to connect the schools and the businesses. But I was working with a developer who had this idea to write software to help make websites ADA compliant. And working with people with disabilities, I just thought this was a really great project to do, because I remember hearing about it a few years earlier, but nothing had been done. And up to 2019, 2020, very little had been done about it. But I started seeing more and more about businesses getting sued for a law that people didn't know about yet. And so I'm like, okay, who's really putting this information out there to help businesses make sure they don't get sued for, not being compliant with something they're not even aware of? So it just turned into something where I became the spokesperson to help businesses, but at the same time as an advocate for people with disabilities to, help spread the word, make the internet more accessible by helping businesses get their sites, compliant to the ADA. So
Nice.
So it was really a project
break it
that
down
turned
for
into
us.
a mission, a passion of mine.
Yeah, I like it. So break it down for us. ADA compliant website. I know, there's obviously things like cookies, and you need compliance of cookies, consent, things like that. ADA is something that is not being talked about that much in the marketing world. It's kind of, I haven't ever really seen it that much
Right.
in my personal experience anyway. So, but I've been looking at, what you do. I've been looking at preparing for this interview, so I'm realizing now this is actually a seriously important thing to have.
Yes.
But what does it involve, for a website to be compliant?
Well, it really depends on where you are. So in the US is where we mainly focus on. There's so many businesses here in the US that need this. And because of some of the perks and benefits that we're going to talk about in a little bit, we focus mainly on the US, but a lot of other countries have this. Canada has their own, laws for digital accessibility, it's called. And the UK even just put out a statement that by next year, all businesses are going to have to comply by their accessibility regulations and laws as well. And, it goes on and on. Australia and everywhere else has their own accessibility laws. And the ADA stands for the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yeah.
So with the ADA in the US, the Department of Justice oversees the law, and they're the ones who say, this is a law, you have to have accessibility for people with disabilities on your website. But unlike the ADA in the physical world, like we have ADA built into our building codes. So if you build a building and you have a restaurant, or if you have, a physical place of business, you have to have a ramp for wheelchairs accessibility, or bathrooms that are handicap accessible, or braille menus. In the digital world, it's getting there, but it's not there yet. It's really, there's a lot of gray area. So the Department of Justice says you need to have accessibility, but they don't say what. And so they leave that in the hands of the different circuit courts in the US to decide. And the courts have different opinions on certain things, but there are a lot of agreement in many things. And that's where we focus on things like you have to make sure that you have proper alt text on your website. That's one of the big ones because they really focus right now. Unfortunately, they only focus on seeing and hearing disabilities. There are a lot of learning and cognitive learning disabilities, physical disabilities that we can also help. But for the main thing, we utilize software as well as manually manipulating the website to make sure that things like alt text, which is used by a lot of people in SEO, is done properly for somebody who's using a screen reader. So if they're blind and they're having a screen reader read them what the picture is on the screen, it has to be properly formatted so it's not just blue car, because it could be a blue matchbox, it could be a blue cartoon car, or it could be a real blue 1965 Mustang driving on the highway. So, what is the context of that picture for the person who's trying to get the information from that website? So, those are the things that we have to go into the website and help businesses understand what do you need to do for your specific website. It's not a one size fits all type of thing. So, we try to help businesses look at that and make sure that their website is done updated in a way that it's not only going to be accessible to people with disabilities, but it's also going to be compliant with the ADA. And with the ADA being,
Mhm.
the law being the way it is, there are a lot of different court cases that show different outcomes. But the consensus is like if you have a smaller business, as long as you're doing what you can afford to do to make your website as compliant as possible or accessible at least, then you're pretty safe right now in the eyes of the law. But if you have a larger company and you can afford, a fully ADA compliant website, which, can cost upwards of, anywhere of two to $10,000, depending on the size of your website. If your company is large enough that you can afford that and you're like, oh, well, we're going to do it eventually, that's where a lawsuit can come into. So we really look at the size of the business to help them comply in the way that they can afford, but get them as much compliance as possible, and then also get them the benefits as well that are available. So we really try to consult and help that
That's
in a
in
way.
that's interesting. So, I never thought of alt text as something that would be designed for people with hearing disability. That's interesting. Sorry, with
Visual impairment.
not hearing, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's right, visually impaired.
Yes.
But it makes a lot of sense because if you can't see, I mean, you want to be able to experience what other people can experience and consume the content in the best possible way, so you can really, like understand what's been on the website,
The crazy thing is alt text was
right?
originally developed for that, and then people started using it as
Was it? Okay, that was
SEO.
my next question.
It
I
it
was
was, and it just wasn't used or properly taught to web developers along the way, over the years, and they started using it for SEO with Google and things like that. So with just keywords and things. And while that helps, it really can hinder, people with seeing disabilities to get the information they need.
That's right, yeah. Because I've been putting like blog articles, and I'll look at the image that I put up, and I give it like a little bit of context. But I've never done it with like, visually impaired in mind.
Mhm.
Like it was always SEO in mind. So like now that I think of it, I feel really bad about some of the description that I put in the alt text because they weren't really written in mind of a visually impaired person. They were written in mind of kind of like you say, keyword, SEO
Yeah.
related. So
Well, that
now where does
yeah,
that sit with like where does Google sit with that? So obviously SEO is still important,
yeah.
but does Google give it more value when the alt text is actually a lot more descriptive and it's written? in a way that's more fitting for a visually impaired person, or does Google? I mean, do you know much about that?
Yeah, you actually hit the nail right on the head. Google actually loves accessible websites because they tend to have more descriptive alt text. The better description you have of graphics in alt text, the Google algorithm will look at that and rank that actually higher rather than just having keywords, separated by commas or whatnot. So the more descriptive you are, the better
Hmm.
SEO you're going to get based on your alt text at least. And so, you know, by having proper alt text, you're actually going to reach more people even without disabilities because you're going to rank even higher with your SEO campaigns and such as well. So, being having an accessible website is going to allow people. One of the main benefits is being allowing them to be able to reach more people, therefore more potential clients. In the disabled community and non-disabled as well.
It is truly a win-win for everybody. Now that I think of it,
It is. I mean, there and
really.
we haven't even scratched the surface of, all the benefits of ADA. It's really, and it's something that
Yeah.
everybody needs to
Well,
do,
I
but
want to. I want definitely, absolutely. I mean, I want to dive into those benefits for sure. But can we just talk a little bit longer about the technicalities of,
yeah.
or like a features of an ADA compliant website? Like I've seen one recently, and it's got like, it gives you the cookie banner, but then you got like a little banner on the right hand side, left hand side. That's all about different options, what you can toggle on, toggle off. Can you can you break it down?
Yeah, absolutely. So ADA compliance and accessibility goes a lot more than just those types of widgets or toolbars. They're part of it. It's part of our solution as well. We have two different toolbars depending on the size of the business that needs it, different websites or different software for different size companies. But the ADA software can do a lot of things. It can do things like it basically allows a visitor to your website to dynamically adjust your website to their needs. So it was, let's say somebody's colorblind and they need to change it to a grayscale so they can see the difference between red and green. If they're red and green colorblindness, they can click a button
Hmm.
and the whole website will change to a grayscale. Let's say they have epilepsy. They can click a button and all the motion graphics will stop. It'll dim the screen a little bit so it's less likely to cause a seizure. Or
Hmm.
if they have dyslexia, there's a certain font that people with dyslexia can more easily read. So one click of a button will change the whole website to this one font. So there are different things that software can do to dynamically allow the end user to adjust the website. And so that software is something that is a big part of what we do to help businesses. But like I said before, there are other things that can't be done using software or AI right now in the eyes of the courts. And that's one of the reasons why I keep up to date on what are the courts looking for? What are the current cases that have been resided over and what are the outcomes? So that way we can follow along what with the courts are looking for. And so that's why, our team, we kind of use a hybrid approach where we utilize software for what we can, but then a team to do like the alt text and the proper captioning of videos, even if it has to be done properly, because if it's too flashy or poor contrast or things like that, it makes it hard for somebody who is hearing impaired to be able to read along and get the message. So there are things that AI can't do yet. I mean, we all know AI is coming along very fast and eventually I'm sure it'll get there, but it's not there yet. So there's no solution out there that can, just use software to completely make it ADA compliant. Unfortunately, there are a couple of companies out
Mm.
there that say that can, and unfortunately, right now they're getting sued because what they're saying is not true. According to the courts, AI will not make a website fully ADA compliant. So that's why we want to make sure that we give that message to agencies, we give that message to businesses, so that way if they go out and say, "Oh, well, we can get this cheap software and just throw it on our website, well, we're going to be compliant." Be careful because those companies right now are being scrutinized and making sure, because according to the courts they're not, software alone cannot do it yet. So that's just one thing, some of the education that we help businesses understand, because there are a lot of nuances around ADA compliance right now. So it really, the software is a great tool to be able to have a great start to providing a lot of accessibility. And then there's some other things that go along with it to be fully ADA compliant.
Often governments, they come up with new policies and things like that, and initially it's like actually really technical, really hard to like get it for day-to-day businesses.
Mhm.
Have the US government come up with like any easy guidelines to follow, or is it still a bit?
They have guidelines. They go by right now. The The US government or the Department of Justice, they don't, like I said, they don't have an easy guideline for them yet saying, "This is exactly what you need to do to be ADA compliant." So, what they do
Mm,
is they say, "Here's a guideline put together by the WCAG," which is the Worldwide Consortium for Accessible Web Design, and that's what a lot of countries go by. It's a guideline right now. Their current version has
yep.
about 85 different things that you should look at. Some of them are major, like the alt text and the captioning and things. Some of them are more
Mm,
minor, different smaller things, or color contrast and things like that that software can do. So they utilize that as a guideline, but you have to understand that no website will ever be 100% ADA compliant or fully compliant or fully accessible, because there's always something that, if you make something compliant in one way, it could hinder another disability in another way. Or your website may change, by accident. You may add another page, and now that page is compliant. So it's an ADA compliance is an ongoing journey, not necessarily a destination. That's what I try to tell people and help them understand. You can do everything right now to make the effort and make your website compliant, but you have to make sure that ongoing, different things change, regulations change, your website may change. You have to make sure that it's an ongoing compliance thing that you're
ongoing.
aware of.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. So, like you said, so I mean, and we're gonna go into some scarecrows in a second. What are they? What are the consequences? I'm interested to know that. But like I said, so as long as a small business, if you're showing good faith, you're trying to do at least something progressively, then it's gonna be better than doing nothing, which can lead you to. Let's talk about it. What can it lead to if you don't do anything?
well, at least in
What's
the
happening in
US,
the
there are a lot of lawsuits that have been growing over the years. So, the number of firms that are actually pushing out lawsuits has grown as well. So, the way the law is right now, if you're not ADA compliant and you can get a letter from a law firm saying you're not compliant, and there's no statute of limitations. If you get the letter, then you either have to settle or go to court and then fix your website. It's not like you have 30 days, you have 60 days, you have 90 days. And it's really unfair to businesses. And this is what we're trying to get the word out ahead of time, because it's like they're being blindsided with these frivolous lawsuits. And these attorneys are going out there saying, "We're trying to help bring awareness." But they're bringing awareness, in my eyes and a lot of people's eyes, the wrong way by, you know, creating, turbulence in the market, suing businesses that are
yeah.
unaware of a law that they're unaware of, for money that they probably don't even have. Because with ADA, if you go to court with the current ADA, the minimum fine is $55,000. So if you're a small business and you go to court and you try to fight it and you lose, then that is a huge chunk. That's a huge hit to your business. So what a lot of businesses are doing is they'll settle for a smaller amount, 5, 10, 15, even $30,000, to avoid going to court to that, because if they know that they've done nothing, or even worse, a lot of businesses in the past have put on their website an ADA accessibility statement without doing anything else. And what that does is it says, we're aware that our website is not ADA compliant and we're planning to do something, but we haven't done anything. And that right there is a red flag for businesses to get sued.
Right.
So those are the things that you
That's
want.
actually in an indexable sentence. It's actually indexable sentence. You put that on your website. It's like you're saying, "Hello, yeah, sue me."
Well, a lot of people in the past were told,
And
if
I
you
would
put that on
assume
there, then you're covered, or but it's actually not the case. That's what we're trying to
right.
help them.
It's yeah. It sounds now who can submit the claim? Can be like any legal practice can like go for it as a a low hanging fruit, or does it need to be an impaired person that goes through the lawyer? Like, how does it work?
Technically, it needs to be a plaintiff that is disabled with a case against another business that has a website that is potentially non-compliant. But what they're doing is, a lot of these firms get one plaintiff and they put it on 200 letters and they send it out to 200 dentists. Boom. And, 50 of them, they settle with, and the rest of them, okay, now they do it again. And so in the law, the plaintiff cannot, or legally cannot profit from this. So all of the money that it's awarded goes to it's all attorney's fees and, fines. But, there are tons of back end deals that have been seen, investigative reporters and
100%. I
such.
was gonna say
So
that. Yeah.
so these plaintiffs are making out in some
Yeah.
way or another. So Those are the types of things. And there's a list of the top 10 firms in the US that are actually, doing this. And then there are a ton of firms that are actually defending, businesses that get sued. So there's really a lot going on that people aren't aware of. It's not really publicized too much. There have been some, news stories, and it's in the news if you look for it, but it's not something that people are aware of, daily. And that's what we're trying to change. We're trying to bring awareness to this and help businesses. And right now, the way the law is that these attorneys can go after businesses. Even if the business hires an agency, let's say they're like, well, we need a website. We don't know anything about it. We hire this agency. The agency makes this website. The agency is unaware of it. The business still gets sued. The onus is on the business right now, but they're
No,
actually changing the law. They want to be able to go after more money. And so they're trying to get the law changed where the business is not the only person on the hook. It will be the web agency. So that's why we're actually out there trying to help web agencies, learn about this, train them on how to do this and how to incorporate it. So that way they can make sure it's a part of their solution, not an add-on, not something that you give the client an option for, but just built into their solution so they can protect themselves moving forward when the laws do change. And right now they can differentiate themselves from other agencies that their clients might be looking at as well, giving extra value to their clients,
yeah,
making sure that their websites are going to be ADA compliant.
yeah, yeah. So, guys, I hope you've been taking some notes because now we're gonna go into the relevance of what that means for all of us SaaSpreneurs, high levelers, resellers of the white label version of high level because we are the ones that are on the hook now as well, and seems to be that's only going to be more of that on the case. So let's make sure that we, we do our best to be compliant. And no, I mean, it shouldn't just be. And I think, I mean, personally, I think it shouldn't just be to to reduce chances of getting sued. Really, is just do the good thing. Like there are people that need help. They want to consume your content. At the end of the day, it's looking after those people, visually impaired, hearing impaired. People with dyslexia. You mentioned people with all the other different impaired conditions. So that's really should be the main motivating factor because, like I said, it improves your SEO as well. It's another nice added benefit. I assume there's more benefits to it. So let's talk about that.
Sure. Yeah. So the major monetary benefit to this, aside from being able to reach more people, with an accessible website, you're going to SEO better, you're going to reach more people. Aside from 25% of the population having a disability, you're going to be able to reach those people. Right now, if you're running ads and you don't have an accessible website or you can even put accessibility into Facebook ads and things. So if you're not providing accessibility in your digital marketing, you're throwing away 25 cents of every dollar that you spend because 25% of the population, even if they see your ad or see your thing, you can't turn them into a customer anyway. So those things aside,
Is this 25% US population or global?
worldwide, global. So
Wow,
it's a big
that's a
number.
massive number.
It really is. So the biggest benefit to this, especially for agencies in the US, if you have an agency and you have clients that are in the US, then those clients are eligible for US tax credits. And we can get them up to $5,000 every single year back in their pocket to reimburse them for high level or for website build or for anything that we can incorporate digital accessibility into. Now, in order to qualify for these
Nice.
tax credits, the website doesn't necessarily have to be ADA compliant. That is the goal. We want to make sure that you can be ADA compliant. All it has to do is have accessibility built into it. So accessibility, the difference between ADA compliance and accessibility is, if you put the software on the website, it's not going to necessarily be compliant in the eyes of the law yet because we have other things we would need to do, but it's still providing a lot of accessibility for people with disabilities. So, accessibility is a part of ADA compliance, and that's what we want to do. So we can provide accessibility for, websites built in a high level. We can provide accessibility for Facebook ads or even podcasts. When you transcribe a podcast, that transcription can help somebody with a hearing disability because now they can read your podcast and your podcast can become eligible for these tax dollars. And so a tax credit is different than a tax deduction, where a tax deduction would just reduce your tax liability, maybe by about 10% or so, depending on how much tax liability you have at the end of the year. A tax credit is actually a dollar for dollar refund back in your pocket. A lot of people are familiar in the US with tax credits the past couple of years. The government just send money in the mail to you in a check. And that's basically what it is. The end of the year, you fill out this short form. And when we incorporate accessibility into your high level, then your client, that makes your high level solution an accessible solution, and your clients will be able to get that money back. And so the government will reimburse them 50% of everything they pay you every single year for your high level subscription. So if you're a SaaS, you provider of a SaaS solution through high level, say you provide a SaaS for $500 a month, and each year they're paying you $6,000 for your SaaS, the government will actually reimburse your client 3,000. And so now, you're providing a solution where you're going to help your client get your solution at half price, and you're still getting paid 100%. So that's where we can utilize this in order to sell more SaaS. Because if you go to somebody and say, our solution is 500 a month, but we're going to be able to get you 50% back from the government, reimbursed, then that just cuts their cost in half and helps you sell more. But because it's available every single year, you're going to keep those SaaS clients a lot longer. You're going to keep them every single year, because if your business is there every year to help them get that money, they're more likely to stick with you every single year, because you're going the extra mile to get them, all these benefits from the government.
Yeah. So two questions. A, can are there any limitations into marketing this as an angle? Like, can you publicly market it? Can you run ads to businesses to let them know about this, or are there any restrictions?
But there's not really any restrictions. And, I kind of coined the phrase using ADA as a marketing tool, because that's really what it is. But one of the things that when I work with an agency, I try to help them understand, don't market the ADA compliance or the ADA accessibility alone. I've done that for a few years. It fails miserably, because first of all, people don't know what it is. They don't think it's important or whatnot. So what we do is we incorporate it as a part of your solution. So let's say you have a high level solution that you've built out. We incorporate the accessibility within into the website, into the sales funnels, into the marketing. If you have, some social media, we can put it into wherever we can incorporate that. Then that makes your full solution, your SaaS solution, an accessible solution, because you're providing accessibility within your solution. And so that's what you're going to market. You're going to market your full solution now as an accessible solution that's, accessible with the ADA. Or if you provide them with a fully compliant solution, which we can do as well, you can say that we provide a fully compliant website with with our SaaS, or whatever, however you're marketing it as an agency.
Yep.
So that's how you want to market it, not as a separate add-on, because that's going to get agencies into some hot water if they're like, here, Mr. Client, this is an add-on. And if you want to add it on, great. If you don't, then you don't have to. But, you know, two things with that being said, if they don't add it on, that's going to put more liability on the agency if they ever got sued, because, well, I didn't, they may say the agency didn't tell them, or the agency didn't say I needed it, or something like
Right.
that. But the other thing is, it's going to cost that
Exactly.
client less money per year with it built in, as we just talked about, than without, because it's going to cost them the full 6,000 a year if they don't have ADA built in, or it's only going to cost them 3,000 a year if you offer them the solution with it built in. So that's where it's a huge advantage to wrap it into your full solution, so that way you can take part of all those benefits. So
So really, really is in your favor to let everybody know about the reimbursement factor as you're promoting your SaaS offering and make it part of the deal, make everybody aware of it. Now, question two, scalability. And actually, as we were talking, I thought about another question follow up
sure.
on that. So scalability wise,
Yeah.
as a SaaS provider, can that be done like DIY option? So customer signs up, business owner signs up for my white level version of high level, can then implement these things themselves through like plugins or some sort of a way that's plugged in high level. And then B, follow up to that is obviously accessibility on the front, so like the website on the end user visitor. What about accessibility for the back end user, say a person with a disability who works in an agency and builds these designs these websites or does work within high level? What about that?
Well, a lot of web apps or like, like High Level or a lot of, everything's on the web these days. All of our software, even like this program that we're
Yeah.
using now for the podcast, things like that, everything's online. And while everything with a URL in the US, you know, if it's a business that provides a solution, it needs to be ADA compliant. But there aren't a lot of SaaSes that have it built in. So to answer your question, no, the back end of High Level doesn't have a lot of accessibility built in. It has some. I mean, you can put alt text in places or whatever, but the software itself, like the back end itself, I've mentioned it to Sean Clark a couple times when I talked to him to see if we can work to do more. It's probably on the radar, but we all know High Level has a ton of things that they're constantly working on and putting out for us. So hopefully in the
Yeah.
near future, some more will be done on that. But as far as it's really for in putting it into your solution as a SaaS provider, so that way your end client can get it. But with that being said, there's also another level, no pun intended, of this benefit as well, because so now we're helping agencies get this government funding for their clients. But the agency themselves is also a business that can get this government funding. So when we work with an agency, we sell our services as wholesale licenses to the business. And then that business incorporates into their solution. So they resell that again. So the agency can get the tax credits by purchasing an accessible solution from us for their business. And then when they incorporate it into their solution, their clients will get the tax benefits for their SaaS. So with the agency, when they purchase our licenses to incorporate it in their solution, they're going to be able to get it at 50% off. And there's even a way that we can work with them to get it at 100% off or free, with their reimbursements from the government. So that way we can, work with these agencies to incorporate it at a lower cost for them so they can sell more and get more clients. And it really is a win-win-win situation for everyone involved, for, the disabled community, for their clients, for the agencies. It's really everybody involved is going to benefit in some way or another. It's really awesome.
I like it. It definitely sounds like a win-win for everybody. Now, what is the solution like? What does it look like in terms of specifically what you guys provide in terms of high-level agencies?
Yes. So with High Level,
Like, is it a script?
it's pretty
Is
simplified.
it like a JavaScript or is it
There is a script for the software portion. So what we do is we take the URL that's connected to that client or the domain, put it into our system, and we get a custom JavaScript that will provide our software on their website. And so we show the agency where to put it into High Level, so that way when they load the website, it loads up after the website, so it doesn't degrade any speed for loading of the website or anything that's going on. Our little toolbar will pop up milliseconds after the website is all loaded. So that's a non-issue
Mhm.
for people as well. But that's the software portion. So that's the first step. So if you have a client, depending on the level that you want to provide, we have the software only version for smaller businesses. If you provide a SaaS solution to small businesses, micropreneurs, or anybody who has a really small business, we can utilize a non-fully compliant solution that provides accessibility via software only, and that will allow them to get the tax credits. But if you have a larger business that really needs to make sure that they're ADA compliant, we have two other levels, which would include our hybrid solution, which is the software plus our team would go in and on a custom basis, look at the website, look at the funnel that we're doing, and do all of the alt text for them, because we're not going to use AI to provide the alt text and just put it in there. We're going to use our tools to be able to get a human interaction, and some of the people that we utilize actually have disabilities themselves, to get a better perspective of what needs to go into that alt text. And then we have people who will caption videos. We'll take any videos that they're going to provide in social media or on their website, and we'll embed the captions into that video so they can take them and put them wherever they want, and they'll remain to be captioned properly for people with hearing disabilities, so that way they can read them. So, and those are cool because you can cut them up and use them in shorts in social media. If you're using them in paid ads, then your paid ads can be eligible for these tax credits. And then what we do is we work with the agency for each client to say, okay, what is your total package? What are you charging them? Show your client this, and this is how much you can get them back, because we can get them back up to 5,000 a year with, so if they spend $10,000 in services with your agency, you can get them the maximum amount of $5,000 back every single year. So the more they spend with you, the more they'll get back in these tax credits. So we'll actually help with the paperwork and show the agency for each client what they need. And it's a pretty simplified process. We have it down where, may take a couple hours total to do everything that we're going to need to do, depending on, unless it's a really big website and we have a lot of pages to go through. But it's really a case by case basis, but we have a process down that will be able to help agencies grow. So if you have 100 clients, even, we can help you real easily take care of a lot of those clients. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. So you're talking about pages and more work. So do I understand correctly that you need to embed the code on each page separately?
No, we embed the code once, and so it's a global code for the whole website. So the tool set that the tools will do will show up on every single page. What we have to do each page
Mhm.
is, with the alt text right now, we have to go through and scan every single page in the website to pull down the pictures. So that way we can have our team do the alt text for every picture on every page. That's just something, if you're looking for a fully compliant
Right.
website that's
That's
gonna be compliant in the eyes of the law, that's what we have to do right now, and it takes a little bit longer, and it's a little bit more, a larger pack, a little bit more expensive, but it's something that you're gonna be able to protect that client if they have a larger website, if they're a larger client, to make sure that they're gonna be covered legally.
You mentioned AI. So I mean, I know that you can upload in ChatGPT. You can upload an image and say, "Hey, describe this image." Are you saying it's not really that great just yet?
Well, AI is getting better every day, and we all know that. We've seen that. And while it can describe an image really, really well, it's really the context of that image to that website. So take this for example. So let's say AI, you feed it a picture of a woman with a cat sitting on her lap. So the AI will probably go in there and be like, woman with a cat sitting on her lap, or maybe even describe the cat a little bit. Maybe it's a tabby cat, or a woman with red hair with a
Mhm.
tabby cat on her lap, something like that. But what if you're on a website for a veterinarian and you're looking for the right vet for your cat who, is really sick, and you're looking for the best vet out there? This picture, could describe a woman with a cat on her lap, but it could also describe Dr. So and so, who's a renowned veterinarian, best in on the East Coast, which is where you are, to take care of, your cat or something like that. So the picture really needs to describe and give more context to the type of information that that website is going to purvey. So it really needs a human interaction to be able to
Yep.
look at the website and say, what is this picture really describing? Yeah, it's describing a woman with a cat on her lap, but it's really describing Dr. Smith, with her cat Fluffy, you know, who takes care of cats, and whatever the context is, it really needs to
Yeah.
describe it in a human format that AI isn't quite there yet, and that's what the courts are looking for.
Yeah. And not only you can make it by doing so, you can make it more compliant, but I would assume that you're also going to significantly increase conversion
Absolutely,
because
yeah. I mean,
it's going to be more resonating as a marketing
yeah,
message.
because if somebody is looking for, a veterinarian, they type in veterinarian, that is in the description of the alt text, probably on a lot of the pages. If it's just woman with a cat in her lap, that would never be picked up because it's not, it wouldn't be picked up in that SEO sense. So the
Yeah.
more descriptive, the better you're going to be able to convert.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
So of benefits working with agencies, can you share a success story where a high level agency or a SaaS company you work with implemented ADA compliance and saw significant benefits? I know it sounds kind of like bad, put it that way, as a significant benefit. They should really do it for the right reasons, but we're also in business, so we want to like
Yeah,
get a
absolutely. I
return on
mean,
these things, right?
I've worked with several agencies, and a lot of them are very similar, gosh, just to pick one. It basically helped them in the first year. They really didn't see, a lot of, people saying, "Hey, I want it because it's ADA compliance." He started putting it into his
Yeah.
SaaS with High Level and told people about the benefits, and they're like, "Yeah, I we would like to do that so we can see the benefits." And he himself was able to reduce his tax bill as well. I think he owed $8,000 before he implemented this, and we got this implemented right in the middle of the year for them. He was able to sell a bunch to his clients, but he was able to reduce his tax bill from 8,000 down to 3,000. He got the maximum amount because he was able to sell enough. So it's really it's really the same overall benefit for all the agencies that come. They're going to be able to, provide a solution that's not going to cost them a lot up front because they're going to get the government credits, but then they're going to be able to provide a SaaS solution that's going to be either accessible or ADA compliant, depending on the size of their clients, help their clients,
Mhm.
reach more people. So their SaaS is actually going to be more powerful by implementing this for their clients. But then they're also going to be able to sell and close more business. If you're trying to close more SaaS accounts, if you're showing this benefit that another person doesn't have, maybe they're going to give away a free report or something like that, and you're actually going to get the money back. Which one are they going to choose? So your SaaS becomes more
Yeah.
valuable. And then because it's available every single year, you're going to keep clients longer term. And that's the goal. It's harder to get a new client than keep a client longer term. And so this little benefit every single year, you're going to go back to your client and say, "Hey, let's get you another $5,000 this year." That client's going to stick around with you really long term. And that client is going to tell all of their friends. If they have other high level friends or other businesses, I mean, they're going to tell them about your high level agency because they're like, "Hey, look at what this business is doing for us. They're getting us money back from the government and they're providing a great service for us." So,
Yeah. I love it. I
yeah.
love it. It makes a lot of sense. Well, if an agency listening right now, is sold on this idea and realizes it's not just, for a commercial sense, but really wants to stay compliant, where do they go to learn more? And do you have, can you break down the packages or do you have different options?
Yeah, absolutely. They can
Let's
go,
let's sound like
definitely from this podcast, they have to go to highlevelexperience.com/ADA comply guy. And we have some great packages for them. There's three main levels for them. The first one would be a base software only package. It's a non ADA compliant package, but it's a way for SaaS owners to implement this with the software into their SaaS and get their clients the tax credits for that's where a lot of people that we work with start. They do this, it's $49 a month for each client, but then you're going to be able to make your whole solution accessible for your clients. And that's the only one we do monthly because a lot of times SaaS owners, they sell their solution as a monthly service. So they purchase from us monthly. They can incorporate it into their solution and then help their clients. They're
yeah,
paying them monthly. Then we have two other levels. We have the basic
excellent.
ADA and then we have the compliant ADA. So with those two packages, it's more of like I was talking about a custom. You have a client that has a website, we'll sit with you, we'll go through the website, we'll do the alt text, we'll do the captioning for each one, and the difference between the two is just the size of the website. If it's a 25 page or less, it's the basic. If it's the 25 or more, it's the fully compliant package. So those, those are there available as well on the website. So they can check them out.
Johnny. So guys, head over to highlevelexperience.com/ADA comply guide to learn more. If you go on this link, you'll be able to find out about Tony's offer. You'll also be able to get a freebie to sweeten the deal for you guys. So I put together this cool little deep links generator. It's a spreadsheet that has about 80 different rows that help you generate unique deep links to different features of high level software. There's nothing worse than getting a new client and saying to the client, "Hey," send them an email and saying, "Hey guys, you should be maybe like scheduling something on socials or like, have you checked your pipeline this week?" And then not actually providing a direct link to those, right? Instead, just saying, "Hey, log in and then try and find it, Mr. Client," or maybe better, like maybe bullet points, like step one, log in, step two. You could do much better with just having a direct link. So that's what the deep link is. So by doing so, especially brand new clients who don't know how to operate the system or don't really know exactly where things are, I know like there's membership, sorry, there's marketing on the left hand side menu bar, marketing, and there's things underneath that category, but then there's sites and things underneath that category. And new clients, they don't know where to find things. So deep links is what's going to make it a lot easier for them to access right away easily, which is going to speed up the learning curve for them, and they're going to stay much longer. So it's just a little thing that I create for my own SaaS agency. And if you head over to highlevel.com/ADA comply guy, you can learn about the amazing offer that Tony has. Learn about the packages, make your site compliant, make your client site compliant, and really create a new unique selling point to stay more competitive. And then if you scroll down to the bottom of that page is where you can claim the free deep links generator. Tony, I've got a couple of rapid fire questions for you.
Sure.
You're a high leveler
Love it.
like me. You run your business through high
I
level.
do, absolutely.
How long have you been with high level?
Over 2 years now. I started off with another company that a lot of people used to use, and now I've been on high level for over 2 years now.
Nice. And what is it that originally grabbed your attention?
With high level, the fact that everything was
Yeah,
all in one platform. I was constantly trying to link everything from my email to my social media to everything, through and I all these different platforms I had to manage and log into. And that was originally, but then since I've started using it, high level has come so far with all these amazing features and it's just a great company to work with. I really love it.
100%. Yeah, the community, everybody's really been helpful and supportive.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. Now, speaking of features, one feature that in particular is like your favorite one right now, and why?
Automations by far. I mean, one of the high level features in high level automations has helped save me so much time and effort and doing a lot of the things that I used to do manually. It's just and they're adding new features to it all the time. So it's hard to go wrong
Yeah.
with, the high level automations.
Yeah, high level automations. By the way, have you heard of Level Up Marketplace?
I have not.
So Stuart Rupert, who I've interviewed the other week on episode 18, he runs a thing called Level Up Marketplace, and basically, sorry, I'm not Stuart Rupert. My apologies, mate. It's Rupert Samuel. My bad. I've interviewed him on the episode 18, and he's from UK, and he's put together a version of a marketplace. So High Level has its own marketplace. He's got his own like a sub marketplace that feeds into the High Level. I think he's got like 20 or 30 developers by now. I was on a call and he was showing me all these different apps, basically unique custom apps that you then install and then use as an action item in a workflow.
Oh wow.
So when you're designing a workflow, I mean, there's already so many amazing work actions that you can use to design your workflows, right?
Yeah.
But with this, you've got these additional, and when we install them, you just scroll down to the bottom and you'll see these custom apps. And there's things like, something you want to happen in ClickUp, something you want to happen in other third party software without having to use Zapier,
Yeah.
without having to use Make or Public. It's all direct. So you're configuring everything directly inside High Level
I
Workflow.
like that.
And now you've got even more. Yeah, it's really, really cool. So I highly recommend it, and recommend it to you guys listening as well. If you don't know what that is, want to learn more, definitely check out episode 18. We dove really deep into that topic with Rupert. So check it out. Yeah. What are you looking forward to most in the future, high level future releases, and why, Tony? You got like a something in particular you're like, can't wait for that to be released?
Oh, there's so much, I try to keep up on all the new features that they're coming out with, but, I think more working with more AI, as it's being more implemented into it with ChatGPT and, I've been working with, some of the conversational voice AI and, just to have the follow-ups, and so you don't have to hire another person to make phone calls all day and follow up with customers, being able to,
Mm.
do more with follow-ups with AI would be really incredible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think there's a whole bunch of good vendors, third-party vendors, but I think High Level is about to release something as well. But there's also legislation. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, the voice AI aspect.
Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to a newbie, a high level listening right now that has just signed up, to a piece of advice to make their life easier when adopting and using high level, what would that be, in your opinion?
Somebody who knows high level to help guide you. I spent a lot of time, months and months and months on my own, just trying to learn it on my own with videos and whatnot. But if you can, spend a little bit of money to hire somebody who knows high level and guide you through it and help you set things up properly the first time, then you won't waste money later on, trying to fix things or, get confused on how it works. And you'll actually learn the basics of high level, depending on how in depth you want to learn it, because you can learn so much in high level if you want to. But it really helps to look to the community, work with somebody who can really help you get a jump start by setting things up properly. And while they're doing it with you, you'll learn along the way as well. If you're totally new to it, that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, high level is exactly one of those, like, how far down the rabbit hole do you want to
Yeah.
go? So, and it's also amazing that now you've got these other options. So you could work with somebody if that's your preference, or B, if you kind of like work at your own pace and just like don't talk to anybody. HighLevel just released the admin certification program,
Mhm.
which I hear a lot of good things about. Ben from Extendly has HighLevel the Academy. So there's definitely a bunch of educational resources, courses, well curated courses that you guys can jump. And yeah, it's amazing where we're now with Hollywood to comparison to where it was like 3 years ago
Oh,
or
yeah.
4 years ago when I jumped on and trying to learn things. So
Yeah.
it is. But on the same token, there's a lot more features than it was as well. So that's good. Tony, on this podcast, we've got a segment called The Beef where we discuss, constructive feedback on HighLevel to improve the platform and help get upvotes on the ideas board. I don't know about you, but I mean, I've had my fair share of, frustrations with things or maybe like things that I would love to be maybe improved. And there's nothing better than using the ideas board,
Yeah.
right? If you guys are new, there's this thing called the ideas.highlevel, gohighlevel.com. We can submit, right, a feature and then people upvote on it. Do you have a particular suggestion that you've submitted maybe recently or anything like that you'd like to point like,
I
upvote?
wish I did. I don't really. I don't dive so deep into high level anymore, with it's
Hmm.
busy as we've been getting with our 8 things. But, I try to keep up to date once in a while and see what new features are coming out, and if there's any that, pop out at us that are useful, we definitely hop on those. But unfortunately, I don't have anything to add for that segment. I apologize.
No, that's all good, mate. That's all good. We got a submission. We have a submission from somebody which I'm gonna slice and insert into this episode. This is a opportunity for you guys as well listening. If you have, quote unquote, a beef with HighLevel and you want to share something that you've been trying to like scream and shout about and getting enough upvotes for it, that's your opportunity. So if you head over to highlevelexperience.com, you'll find the right button where you can submit your beef. And the way you do it is just 60 seconds voice recording. You just share what particular feature or function it is. You do need to submit it to the ideas board. That's the rule, guys. So you need to submit it as a suggestion to the ideas board for the high level developers. Then you make the voice memo. We'll add it into this episode. We'll help you get more people to listen about it. And if people agree, they can go in the show notes and they can click on your link. You need to provide that link and they can add you some more upvotes. All right. So here's a quick suggestion that has just been submitted from Keith from the Bold Guy Marketing. I really like it. The idea that he's suggesting is basically that there needs to be a better way, or there needs to be a way, full stop, to be able to trigger off workflows based on an incoming cold email. So I really like the suggestion, and I'm going to play it to you in a second. So have a listen and let me know what you think. But I'm going to add extra comments to it after it. So have a listen now and see what you think.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much for doing this. This is awesome for this opportunity to share. So according to help.gohighlevel.com, you can do cold inbound email on Mailgun. And it says that cold email does work on Lead Connector email, but it provides no information, no insight, no guidance. And here's the issue. When you set up a customer reply channel is email, there's no filter for cold email. In my mind, there should be a filter for email to a particular email address, email to anything on any given or particular dedicated sending domain. So if I have outbound emails on some sending domain, and then I get a cold inbound on that, I know it's related to that outbound marketing.
Well, thank you, Keith. That's a great suggestion, guys. If you agree with this, I'm going to drop a link here to the link so you can upvote and learn more. There's some extra comments from other users who are adding some extra thoughts to it. One of the thoughts I really like is that there could be, if HighLevel added a filter for a channel, a customer reply channel email, and then you could filter down on the direction being like incoming. And then you could filter down that it's like a first ever email being sent. That could be a way to really filter down and really like dial down on like, yes, that is most likely an inbound cold email. Like you kind of estimate it better. Anyway, link below and also in the show notes. If you like the suggestion, make sure you give it an upvote. And that's it. Well, let's go back to the rest of the interview. On the ending note, Tony, more of a running business type of question. You obviously have a team, you've been running your business. What would be one piece of advice that you would like to share when it comes to like info strategy to drive business growth?
Well, being is what I do with ADA, something that can really impact your business is to do something making sure that you're utilizing accessibility in your business in one way or another. I mean, if you want it's kind of like a secret way to grow your business, incorporate ADA into it. And there's a lot of different ways that it can help. Little biased on that side, but it's what I do, and it's a great
That's
way
all right.
it's a great way to help businesses grow. So
100%, 100%. And look, you've definitely shared a lot of insights into this topic. So really appreciate you jumping on today's episode and then providing all this information. It is definitely very important. It's one of those maybe later, but well, after listening today, even me, I'm like, oh, I really got to do something. I mean, my business is based in Australia, but I'm really got to do something. So anyway, Tony, thank you so much for being on today. I will add all the things that we mentioned today into the show notes.
awesome.
For you
Thank you.
guys listening, thank you, Tony. Thank you, mate. And for you guys listening as well, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed the episode, then please share it with your other fellow agency mates and other high levelers that you think would benefit from listening. One of the easy ways to do that in the high level community, there's people asking questions all the time, and oftentimes we cover something interesting that can answer these questions on these episodes. So it's as easy as dropping a link to one of the episodes inside the comment section of one of the posts in the community. See, I can't do it. I can't post the episodes because it's self promotion, but you guys can do it and help me, but also help somebody. But anyway, so go for show notes, for links, and then extra tips to help you grow your agency or your SaaS. Head over to highlevelexperience.com. There's a whole bunch of additional resources. Every single guest that I've interviewed, either myself or way back in the day with Andrew, who was my co-host, we always trying to come up with some good deals for you guys to help you move the needle. So once again, thank you for listening and have a great rest of your day, everybody.